Welcome. Gio and I are here with Ramon Gonzalez. He is at a Thrive location on a swing. I'm assuming
That's right.
he's in Atlanta. He's gonna fill us in. He is the co-founder and CEO at Thrive Coworking. Ramon, thanks for joining us today
Yeah,
with
I
your
am
broken foot.
genuinely happy to be. I did you have to tell everybody?
We're uncensored, so yep.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, my foot is a mess. I can hardly walk, but I'm happy to be here. This will be cool.
Awesome. Gio, where are you today?
I am in Boise.
What? Oh, this is a Thrive space behind you, though.
Wait a minute. I was like, you
Yeah.
look like you're in one of my locations. That's clever.
He's
Let's
sneaky
go,
like
Gio.
that.
I
That's the
know.
whole goal.
Okay,
Threw me
before,
for a
yeah,
loop.
I want to, so Ramon, I want to hear like your co-working origin story, but will you kind of talk about where you are today, like Thrive geographically, portfolio, kind of, yeah, what does the
Yeah.
business look like today? And then we'll go backwards.
Okay, so currently Thrive has 20 locations, mostly in the Southeast, but we do have some outside of the Southeast. So we have a location in Columbus, Ohio. We've got one in Bozeman, Montana. But beyond that, yeah, that's our footprint. Sort of, that's our focus now. We love this area. It's a high growth part of the country, but we of course are exploring other places. And we started back in 2015, so we've been around for a little while now.
Okay, so how did this happen? You woke up one day and co-working was the answer to something. Tell us the story.
In a way, yeah, it really was. I had another business. So I'm like this serial entrepreneur kind of guy and started in real estate investment and development and back in, started like oh 04, oh 05. So things went well for a little while, then oh 07 and oh 08. And man, that was painful, right? Like, I mean, really
Worse than a
painful.
broken foot.
Way worse than a
Yeah.
broken foot. Basically lost everything, had to rebuild, started a property management company. That's not fun, like residential property management, right? So all you get are like phone calls
It's
from
hard.
landlords that are like mad that you spent their money, and then the tenants are like mad because something's broken, and it's not a culture or an environment that's like really exciting or fun to be a part of. So I sold that business. I couldn't do it anymore, and I really wanted to start a business that one allowed me to kind of curate a great culture with my team, and two, a business that allowed me to have some influence over others so we can kind of make an impact in whatever way we sort of thought would be appropriate. Because having gone through the entrepreneurial journey, sort of the ups and downs, learned that like life isn't about people thinking that you're smart or rich or cool or anything like that, right? Like there's no joy in that. And but there is deep and profound joy and meaning in like actually making a difference in people's lives, right? That kind of comes from my sort of like my Christian background, yeah. And so co-working just seemed like that was the way to do it. I had heard about a company called Rome. Love those guys. They started in Alpharetta also. And saw that model. I was like, that's interesting. And started kind of poking around a little bit. And back in 2014, 2015, kind of dialed in on, hey, we're going to do really kind of cool, funky, fun, different co-working spaces in walkable, engaging, kind of vibrant districts. And there's a lot more to Thrive, but that was kind of the origin, right? I was like, hey, you know what? This is the model. And with this, I can have a life that's a little bit more pleasant than that kind of difficult entrepreneurial journey that I was on before.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the really cool part about Ramon's background is our first conversation. I was actually you'll get a kick out of this. I don't know if you remember this, Jamie. I was at a silent spiritual retreat, which we know Giovanni doesn't do silent at all. And so I'd reached out to him because he needed some stuff turned around pretty quickly. So I reached out and we quickly connected. He's got an incredible passion for people, right? And, his faith base is a big part of that. And I think Ramon was just in Nashville when we did the GWA Immersive. And so it was funny because I saw him walk in with his entire team and sit on the couch. And I was like, I'm going to see how long this lasts because Ramon doesn't sit still very well. And so he looked miserable for about 30 minutes. And then he got up and went and found himself a little corner table and stuck his earbuds in and proceeded to work all day while his team did a bunch of the listening and a bunch of the networking and everything else. And so it's Ramon, what is that? What's your entrepreneurial background? Where does it come from? What's your passion behind it?
Yeah, that's a fun question. Okay, so I think the genesis of it probably is sort of like my early childhood. So I grew up in the Bronx and didn't have, let's say, the benefit of lots of material wealth, if you want to call it like that, right? We kind of lived in the projects and all this other stuff, and it just wasn't like the best. And so a lot of my family has sort of been through difficulties and difficult seasons. And I wanted to do something with my life. It's like I was first motivated by the desire to be better than my parents and achieve more and not be like in a place where we were wanting or needing for things and stuff like that. And those things came in seasons. And by the way, my parents, I love them. They're the best. They fought for me. They've done so many things for me. So this is not about them. This is just the journey, right? Of like, it's almost like a socio-economic journey. I mean, we're Puerto Rican and they kind of came over and we've been sort of fighting to sort of make a way for ourselves. And so I just wanted to do more. But that bred in me this sort of like this materialistic kind of like self-centered, prideful sort of thing where it's like, I'm going to be the first to go to college. I'm going to make all this, and everyone's going to know all this. And that ended up sort of being almost toxic for my life, and I had to overcome that through some of the struggle that went on again during the financial crisis and all that. But I think that's where the entrepreneurial thing comes from. That, but then like I've got uncles and stuff that like have done real estate, and so you can kind of like you wonder how these things work. Is there like a genetic component to this? I have no idea, but that's probably the best answer that I could give. I just and I'm like I have a curiosity about people and economics and sort of I just love to ideate about different things and like how the world should work and what it could look like and what it could be and I have a oddly high tolerance for risk. I think I'd say like I always underestimate how hard things will be, and I'm like totally cool with like if the absolutely like the unacceptable happens, like oh okay it all fails, fine. Like I'll live. Like I'll probably find a way to eat a meal and have a place to sleep. So I don't know. That's a little bit about me, man. Maybe more than you need to hear, but that's how I think about it.
And so the interesting part, and Jamie, you fall in this category too, but I think where we connected so much, Ramon, is our background, right? There is no safety net, right, Jamie? Your safety net is going to working on a farm, right? So when you don't have a safety net, you're willing to do things that other people won't, right? And so I think that makes a huge difference is failure isn't really an option. Can we fail along the way? Yeah, but we're failing forward as they say. But I mean, I think that's a big part that you and I have connected about and had conversations about.
Yeah, it's motivating, man. Like, when you don't really have an option to fail, you will do some extreme things. And I've worked to the point of actual hallucination and I couldn't even really like I remember opening our first like scaled location in Alpharetta where, I stayed up for I forget how long it was, but it was like well beyond 24 hours. And then we had our big grand opening and the chamber was there and there were like hundreds of people. And I remember like I was having a hard time talking because I had been awake for so long. And I was trying to get the whole space designed up and put the things on the shelves and mount all that stuff. So yeah, man, you do crazy stuff when there's no plan B. So, but it's okay. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Although also that's an important reminder why sleep is so important. Losing sleep is like being drunk, right? Like
It is.
at some point you cannot. Gio doesn't sleep as much as he does. So I like to bring up the importance of sleep. So I'm curious, you
Matters.
mentioned culture being important. What sort of drove that as a priority and what is the culture? How would you describe the culture at Thrive?
What drove it as a priority? Well, like I mentioned a little bit before, like my past experiences, that prior company that I was in, it it was hard to get up and go to work every day. So I wanted something different for myself, and I wanted something different for the people that became a part of the team, right? Um, I think like ultimately we all desired that our work, the thing that we do with the giftings that have been given to us, like we want it to be put to good use and we want to sort of bless people with it. So Yeah, that's why it was so important for me. Um, and then what is our culture like now? It's fun. That's such a fun question. It's so hard to sort of describe it. It's like trying to use words to describe a, let's say, like a beautiful vista. Like you can kind of get a sense for it, but it's a little bit hard. And that vista sometimes has storm clouds and rain and fog. So like, you know, I am not trying to convince anybody that things are perfect here, and I'm not a perfect leader, or not even close to it. But I try hard, and I think people get that. So maybe starting with that as it relates to our culture, people know that like myself and other folks that are in a leadership position here, we have their best intentions at heart, like genuinely. For us, the genesis of this business wasn't like, hey man, we're gonna make it big and I can't wait to buy all that. It's like when you're not money, the better parts of your character and your element, like the elements of your character sort of to show or to shine. And I think that this business has been a beneficiary of that. So we make decisions based off of people, not necessarily the profit or what makes most business sense. Oftentimes we make decisions that like are counterintuitive from a business standpoint, but we are prioritizing people, both our employees and the members at our spaces. So yeah, I think that that's one element of it. And then like it's genuinely a place where like the people that are part of the team feel like friends. Like the whole family thing gets overused a bunch, and who knows what this really is like. But like we enjoy hanging out with each other. We hang out with each other frequently. The interaction and the dynamics are actually like surprisingly healthy. Conflict gets handled surprisingly well. So we have fun with each other. We work through difficulties with each other. Some of the things that we've gone through together have been like really, really challenging. I mean, just this amount of growth for us in a couple few years is like it's
Yeah.
kind of a lot. We only have ever had like I think we've had two people. Well, in our corporate team, we've never had anyone leave intentionally. We've had some CMs that like a couple. One of them was a teacher and like kind of missed that, so she went back to be a teacher. One of the CMs like wanted to grow into corporate, but there was no room, so he kind of wanted to grow in another direction, which is fine. And then like one person that was a CM, they left and they came back. So like our retention's just over like the past whatever 7, 8, 9 years, like our retention's wildly strong. And I think it's a part of a testament to sort of that community, that culture that we've built internally. So, and again, not to throw God on top of everything, but it's like it's kind of for me, it's a spiritual thing. It's like, hey man, like I want to bless these people. I want to be selfless, like in every element of my life. And people kind of get like drawn to that when they really feel like you're like authentic, like you actually care. You do what you say you're gonna do, or you die trying. Like I don't know, man. It works.
So let's go back to when you got started. I mean, what that look like? I mean, I know you found some partners that were in the real estate business that understood hospitality, everything else. But talk to us. Was that who you started with initially, or did you grow into it, or how did that evolve?
Yeah. So I sold my prior company back in the beginning of 2015 and had enough cash to kind of like mess around and get the concept going. I did that, but then I raised some capital from like a group of local investors. I think I got that raised done in like 2016, like end of 2016, something like that. Oh, 2017. And we started opening a couple of spaces. The first one was a prototype space, and we opened one in Milton and another one in Alpharetta. Then COVID happened, right? So we were kind of slowly growing, almost like organically. Then we're launching our Canton location and our second Alpharetta location. And like I said, COVID happened. Very difficult time. I don't have to talk to anybody that's listening to this podcast about how challenging that was. Came this close to losing everything, poured every last buck I had basically into it. Had to furlough a lot of the team, but the team rallied around, man. They took other jobs that would come in and kind of help out. The Southeast/Georgia, like a little bit of a unique case, let's say, compared to how most of the country handled it. So it's like a lot of people actually still use the space even months after, like just a couple few months after. So like it required upkeep, but like also a lot of our members couldn't even afford it. So it's like people were kind of using it, but they couldn't really pay for anything. And so we're like trying to deliver service while not really receiving much in revenue. So bit of a challenge there. But coming out of COVID is when I secured a partnership to really kind of get us to the level of growth that we're at right now. And yes, that was with a group that had a company that was in hospitality. They have other companies, actually sold that company recently, but they kind of understood the hospitality component. They saw how co-working was a kind of another way to deliver hospitality. It was sort of like one thing we called the daytime hospitality, where hotel was sort of like nighttime hospitality, right? And they have the vision that we have. They still do. And honestly, it was a very easy partnership to strike. We just had some conversations, walked around, talked a little bit, some whiteboard sessions, and had a framework in place within like a month, and got it papered a couple months after that, and we were off to the races. So it was an exciting time for us because post COVID had just a ton of momentum, as everybody knows from a co-working standpoint, and it was our mindset to just sort of seize the moment to whatever extent possible that would allow us to still like execute in a way that's real, authentic, right? We don't want to lose our soul. I don't really care how big we get. I kind of care like, I don't know, how much we can actually bless the people that are in our spaces and how much we can make a difference. So anyway, that's the arc, man. We kind of had a couple little rounds. We've had like a fair number of rounds now that I've got my main capital partner, but we had a couple different investor groups. Now we're here.
I'm wondering if there's some tension between, because I'm guessing your current capital partners do want you to grow and do care about scale. How do you sort of manage that? And you have a philanthropy program. I'd love to hear about that too. And kind of, yeah, how does that tie into sort of scaling and making sure your investors get a return, but
Yeah.
also, yeah, being the kind of company you want to be?
Well, the cool thing is that they've kind of like always seen who I am and who we are as a company. These things don't surprise them.
Hmm.
I made it very plain from the beginning who I was, the heart behind it, my philosophy on business. And so, I mean, we are growing, right? We definitely are growing,
Yeah.
but not at the sake of delivering really excellently and making sure that the culture is strong. And so we always stay dialed in. We have weekly meetings with those guys talking about our plans and sort of how we're doing and all this other stuff. So there really isn't any conflict there. They appreciate the way we lead and the way that we think about doing business. So, and I feel blessed because of that. We couldn't, it wouldn't work any other way, right? I wouldn't do it. And then the philanthropy piece, oh, that's such an exciting and challenging kind of thing. So the Thrive Initiative, been working on that for a long time. We actually launched it. We built an app around it. We had a team of developers out of Ukraine that had a kind of got a 1.0 version. We rolled it out. It was sort of kind of not working the way that we had hoped, and
As
we're
those things tend to go.
yes, right. And so had it audited. The code was kind of messed up. We were going to sort of scrape it and try to build anew because, and I won't get into technicalities, but there were some pretty significant issues with it. Let's say.
Mm.
But you might have heard that there's a war in Ukraine, and yeah, that really put a big damper on our ability to sort of actually get it completed through that team, right? And so that team is actually not even like operational, let's say, anymore, right? So we kind of have this code in this app that's sort of sitting there that needs to be either scraped or tweaked or rebuilt. And we've put a lot of money into it. And so we're kind of initiating a new effort to raise capital behind it. But the heart behind it's great. We will do it. And the more locations that we open, the bigger of a platform that we have
Yeah.
to actually roll it out when we're done with the technology side. But we got about like 18 or 20 local shops and restaurants in downtown Alpharetta on the program where they gave discounts to people that gave to local charities. I mean,
Wow.
that's it. And it's done on an app. So you go on your app, you put your credit card information in, and your extra change that you kind of like have from any of the transactions on your debit card, it goes to the nonprofit that you pick, right? So just to illustrate an example, let's say that you go shopping anywhere, Target, it could be anywhere in the world, and you buy something for $5.50, right? It rounds up to $6. The extra 50 cents go to your charity. And because of that, you get 10 to 20% discounts at all your favorite shops, restaurants, coffee shops, whatever. That's kind of cool. I mean, that's like really, really cool. And the
Yeah.
economics around that are amazing.
And I think it aligns so well with human behavior. Like as humans, we're not very good at saving and then giving.
Right.
But when you can
True.
do it with just like, oh, that's easy. That's of course,
Yes,
yes, yes. I do it every time if I'm at a cash register, and it asks, it's like such an easy way to
yep,
do it and you feel good. And I love that. I
it
think it's
is.
really smart.
And it's powerful
Yeah.
because like if you get 1,000 people signed up in a city, each person will donate about an average of $20, right? That's $20,000 a month in giving.
Yeah.
Now there's cost to sort of upkeep the technology and
Sure.
administer the nonprofit, but you still have roughly, let's say, 70 to 80% of it going directly to the nonprofits that you've
Yeah.
allocated, right? That's huge. And if you can get that many, 1,000 or 2,000 or five, and this could go forever, right? All of our locations, you can raise a tremendous amount of money, and people love it because if you're saving like 10 to 20% on a dinner with your family,
Yeah.
you get that money back after one night out,
Yeah.
right? So you end up saving more money than you actually donate. And you're doing good in the city that you love. And then, of course, the shops and restaurants love it because they're always trying to bring in more traffic. Oftentimes, it brings in people off hours, lunch crowd, all that other stuff. So everybody wins. God willing, we will relaunch this thing. If anybody out there wants to cut a big check, let us
Totally.
know.
Never hurts to
But
ask.
right, right. But it's in God's time. But man, excited for the day to come that that thing gets reactivated.
Well, Ramon, let's talk about. I mean, originally, I think the goal was to own a lot of the real estate that you guys were looking at. I think was the original conversations, and then that's kind of evolved to leases. Are y'all doing management deals too? I mean, kind of where are you in your growth? What does that look like? I mean, you've done some acquisitions of existing operations. You've done some ground up development in some of the really cool suburbs of, is it Cobb or where's the one that you're doing with there's a brewery and all kinds of cool stuff?
Yeah, so that was in Cherokee County. I'm sorry, yeah, was that Cherokee? Yeah, that was in Cherokee County. It was in like a adaptive reuse project,
Hmm?
uh, and it's amazing. And then there's a second location that actually is being done up there. That's super cool too. But yeah, I mean, for us, that was the original aim. Fundraising for that was challenging back in 2014, 2015, 2016, where when co-working was just not a real known kind of quantity, right? It wasn't something that people felt was like super bankable. Um, so we pivoted and we did a combination of leases and management agreements. We acquired a few through some syndication, so we've raised some money, and we did a deal in Duluth, and we did a deal in Gainesville. We did the Greensboro deal that we did in North Carolina, had an asset heavy, real estate acquisition component. And there's some others where there's some economic interest. Swanee's another one. So we've dabbled in that some. I I wish we could or had the capacity to do more, but it'll come with time. I think that these markets that we're in just show such growth potential. It's wild, and so the deals that we've been in have been very very good from the real estate standpoint. Our focus now is M&A and management agreements. It's kind of where the market is, right? It makes sense to grow that way because of some of the inflationary pressure that we've sort of seen. It's like if you can kind of come into existing revenue where their entry was at yesterday's prices to sort of build out the space, it makes the economics a lot easier. The economics are a little bit harder with new construction and TI, unless the landlord really comes to the plate and delivers a big TI dollars. So, which is happening now. Like, and since we've become a bit more known, like we're getting some pretty nice offers on some things. So, but that's the area of focus: M&A and management agreements.
I'm
By the way,
curious.
I see your little nook over there. You see over my shoulder?
Yeah,
That's the
man, you are.
little
That's right.
that's the little
That's what's
nook
going.
he's sitting in right there. That's even the pink light that he's getting.
Well,
So true.
I'm curious about that a little bit because I love your design. It's pretty sort of bespoke. You have this kind of a specific feel that I can tell is very unique to each location. Like I was looking at your
Yes.
Bozeman page and the Bozeman. I would love to visit. Geo's in
Ah,
Idaho. He should
Bozeman.
swing by. Or no, it's not open yet, but on
No,
its
but
way.
it's going to be open. Come in like July or August. Our soft open is June 17th.
Oh, soon.
But yeah, so it's coming.
Okay.
But be
So
like in its, fullest version a little bit
how
later.
do you make M&A work? I think M&A seems so hard because you have an existing fit out that maybe is not optimized, which is why it's for sale, and you got to bring it up to speed to your own brand. How do you, I mean, you don't have to tell us all your secrets, but how do you sort of think about that?
Yeah, I don't mind sharing anything. So, yeah, I mean, oftentimes in life, right, challenges are where the opportunity is found. And so we feel like there are lots, and from our experience, there are lots of operators that at the core of what they're doing, they had the right idea, right?
Mhm.
And they found a good market or the building was cool or whatever, but there are some flaws that if you can kind of come to the table with some capital, you can tweak, you can change, and you can still get access into a market in a position where it's de-risked and overall will deliver a really, really strong return. So I know what you're saying. You're right. It sometimes takes some investment, but
Yeah.
we've a lot of the operators that we found though, like we haven't had to make dramatic changes, and we've made some, and we continue to make some. So for us, the analysis still works out where we're like, hey, look, like our Greenville location, we spent a fortune on it. My goodness, we could have done like 2 or 3 M&A deals. Now Greenville's a
Yeah.
killer market for us, but
Yeah.
when you're coming in retrofitting, it's not nearly as bad as ground up or scraping in the TI.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Making it work. My other question about
Yeah.
location strategy is, are you being somewhat opportunistic? Like you core Atlanta, Atlanta, Georgia, but now you've got kind of a sprinkling like Bozeman. Like, can you do multiple locations in Bozeman, or will that
Yeah,
be
that
one off?
the goal is always to build some kind of network. Bozeman is a little bit of an outlier. We could do multiple. We're almost full from an office standpoint in Bozeman already, which is pretty cool. We're not in the open.
Pre-sales.
Yeah, pre-sales. Yeah, it's great.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I think we're like in the 70s in terms of
Okay.
percentage or something like that, which is
Wow.
cool. So that's a blessing.
It's cool and
Um,
unusual. I mean, high five.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, like we got good people doing stuff, man.
Yeah.
Our like sales team is out of control,
Good.
and folks that are handling our marketing promotional stuff do a great job. So, but we do like to build a network. Bozeman, we've already entertained a second location potentially. Um, we'll see what happens there. Ideally, we'd like to have at least 2, maybe 3. We just feel like the momentum is strong in this industry, and even in individual markets. Like I'm looking at my third location in Alpharetta, right? Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the long view is yes, multiple in each city, and then creating regions where we have a lot. And so our highest concentration are in Georgia, number 1, and then number 2, North Carolina, 3, South Carolina. And we got Alabama, Ohio, and Montana, things like that.
So what is I mean, obviously there's always, I guess, press and marketing that goes out to kind of, pad our opportunities, right? And what the growth is and everything else. And I think that's often what's happened in the past with operators. I mean, with you, I mean, we've seen everything from you were in super hyper growth mode to now you've kind of scaled back and you're being very
Yeah.
methodical about what you're choosing. But I mean, there's articles that have come out that said, 500 locations is kind of the goal, right? And
Yes. That's so
it's
funny.
interesting just because there's a certain, mentality behind, hey, we're trying to grow, we're trying to raise money, right? So we need to create this hyper growth opportunity. So kind of where are you today in your growth and what's the goal?
Yeah. So when we first started, that was like a wildly audacious target that we set. And we created like a forecast for it and all that sort of stuff. And it was a fun exercise to go through. A little bit of an attention grabber, but like genuinely like, hey, let's make a run at it. You know, inflation, capital markets, interest rates, all that stuff. Those things, the conditions on the ground when they change, it has an impact, right? So that has caused us to say, okay, let's make sure that we are being as smart about growth as possible here. So
Yeah.
at present, like I had mentioned before, M&A management agreements, that's where we want to focus. And to what extent do we want to grow? Well, we're not going to turn down deals that make sense from an economic standpoint, right? We will continue to pursue those. How many of those we encounter, who's to say? But we are in a measured growth mode right now. And we're trying to kind of just continue to get better at what we do. There's still so many things that we can do better. And there's still so many ways that we can like bless our team more, like pour into them and their development, help them to grow as individuals, make the workload on them less. Let's get more efficient. Let's enhance our amenities in certain ways. We're always trying to innovate there. So growth is like not even a word I like to use too much. It's really about maturing, right? Like when you mature as a company, growth is an element of it, but just kind of trying to get better is maybe even a bigger one. So that's the mindset right now. But don't get it, there's what a crass way to put it. Don't get it twisted. But like we're growing. Like we're still pursuing deals. I mean, I looked at a couple locations today, right? But we want to be smart, and there's lessons learned in every industry, including this one, in terms of what can happen if you maybe go a little too quick.
I mean, and it's such a big part that you said that obviously the two of you as operators understand is that the ability to grow network, right? That's such a vital part, is to be able to have a team in place rather than just having one random location that now you have to have a team that services. So, just being methodical
Yes.
about where and how you grow, right? That's such a big part for you kind of in the Southeast, right? Is you've been able to create that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like the network effect that people talk about, and like it's such a wind at our back. Now when we open spaces, it's particularly in markets that we're in, even though Bozeman's doing very well, they fill up pretty quick because everybody knows about us, and people that can't get an office over here, they're going to kind of go over there. Companies that want to get multi-location will sort of scale into our spaces and things like that. So it's just the smartest way to grow, for sure. Even beyond sort of the ease of operations, let's say, that it sort of provides. So yeah, we're pretty committed to that, honestly. At first, I think we weren't as committed to it, and then when we actually started scaling and seeing some of the complexities around having a disparate sort of network, and then we're like, okay, let's just hone in here.
So he's gotten away with it until
I
now,
know.
just
I was
because
like, Gio, what's
we've been
going
diving
on?
in and out of it. So if you had the opportunity to talk to one person and have lunch with them, one living and one dead, who would they be?
No one's ever asked me that. Ooh, that's such a cool question.
This was one of our
Um,
Grand Canyon hike questions. I was so tired at that point. I don't think I answered it.
you were just like, well, yeah, I
Basically,
can't. I want to talk to the server at a Waffle House.
exactly.
Um, so a living person. Gosh, I'm trying not to be like such a geeky Christian. All this stuff, like a lot of the content that I consume is sort of, let's say, faith based. My curiosity and stuff. But I'll stay away from that a bit. I'll go to like someone that has sort of is dead. Like one of the people that has sort of changed the world in a profound way, right? Um, like a Nelson Mandela kind of Mahatma Gandhi kind of like. I just would like. I just wonder what it's like to be in the presence of that person, because every once in a while you run across someone in life where you're like, man, that guy or that guy, like there's like a charisma, there's like a something special about that one over there. And I just can't imagine what it's like to actually be around someone like that. And I have like this little thing in my heart where I really want to maximize the good that I can do in this world. And so, in a sense, like those are people I would like look up to. Not that I'm under a delusion that like I'll be able to achieve what they've achieved, but just that would be a cool thing, right? So I probably go there, again, excluding sort of the theistic side of my life and my brain. Someone that's living, is it odd that I don't have like any? There aren't people where I don't know. I'm not like an idolizer. I don't get into like pop culture or like famous people or anything like that. It's not like
Okay, how
really
about
a part of.
it's Saturday night. You're going to get burgers. Who do you call?
Ooh, who do I call to get burgers? Probably my my buddy Robert Shu, one of
See?
my earliest co-working members.
Yeah.
It's no one famous, man. Like I don't know. I don't know them. Why would I? It could be for something I could learn, right? So I love physics. So I could go with like, you know, some of the more pop culture kind of physics geeks out there. Um, but like, I think for me, it'd probably just be one of my close friends, man. Like there's no one out there that I'm just dying to hang out with. I'm not even into sports that much anymore. I used to be a Patriot. I'm from Boston. Tom Brady,
Oh,
thought he was super cool and stuff, but like it doesn't do it for me, man. Like
yeah,
I like regular people. I'm a regular dude.
totally.
Like that's
I
just
think
that's
my
just
list
me.
would be more regular people too. Although I did
Yeah.
listen to, do you follow, there's some guy on YouTube. I listened to a How I Built This
Oh yeah.
podcast. The
Yeah,
guy who
that's a cool
like
podcast.
filled his pool with Jello, like
Wild. I
totally
love it.
wild. I loved it. It was very cool. Anyway,
Yeah. There's some amazing stories out there, but no one that comes to mind that would say that's a good pop culture.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to the having no safety net. I mean, Tony Robbins' story is incredible, right? If for anyone that's
Mhm.
looked back and seen it, right, is the fact his mother was a drug addict, and he basically had to go beg for pills for her from the doctor, and had to go get
Wow.
food stamps, and
thanks.
it's an incredible story. But the reason I say that is, it's so interesting, your point, and I tell people this all the time, is they compare themselves to people like Gandhi and Tony Robbins and all these amazing people. And I'm like, you know what? Some of us are called to change one life in our entire lifetime, and some people are called
Yeah.
to change millions. So,
Mhm.
you can't
Yes.
compare yourself to someone else, because if you can change one person's life, you've made a huge difference, not only in their life, but their entire world, right? The generations that surround them, right? It's the
Sure.
ripple effect. And so I think sometimes people get caught up on my story's not good enough. It's not big enough.
Yeah.
I'm not capable of it. And so it's so interesting when people get caught up in that. And so I think, they'll tell you this at any recovery, right? Draw a circle around yourself and focus what's inside the circle. And that's what I love about your answer so much, is your burning desire inside, like you said, to do good. That's basically going to radiate into that circle, right? And change
Yep.
lives around you. Okay.
And can I throw one
So
thing in there
go,
actually before
go.
we move off of that?
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the person, but it would be kind of cool to like a living person, someone that's like in the deep recesses of the government, CIA, whatever, that like knows all the secrets, right? Like JFK or aliens or God knows what. Like that would be cool to hang out
They'd
with
have
that
to
guy
Now
kill
we're
for a
you
while.
after
talking.
dinner, though, just so you know.
Well, man, I didn't think about that. Might be worth it. So that's my answer, maybe.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Cool.
So Atlanta is, I mean, Atlanta's is, I don't want to say it's saturated, but there certainly is a lot of competition, right? You've
No
got,
market's saturated, Geo. That's a
well, from
strong
the
word.
standpoint of let's look at it, right? So Atlanta, you have Michael Beretta, the head of real estate that sits in Atlanta for Regis, right? So
Mhm.
it's there's Regis and spaces everywhere. You got their, what is it, number 19, which is their high end model there. You've got Rome,
Yep.
which is based out of there. Obviously, hyper growth. Switchyard
Yep.
has been making a huge splash. Yeah. And so, I mean, those are kind of three different product types. I mean, where do you fall in the landscape of co-working in Atlanta? How are you different? How do you, I call it co-opetition, right? Because you're competing, collaborating. Sometimes, what you're offering isn't what someone's looking for. So kind
Yeah,
of where do you
for
fall in
sure.
that category?
Yeah, so there are lots of different ways to look at this. Um, for me, like I don't get super concerned about what the other guy's doing, although I like to be aware. Like
Yeah.
I know that like what we're doing, people love it. They
Mhm.
just kind of do. Now I can list off all the things that I think make us different. We can have a grid and well, we do this and we locate here and we offer that. I'm sure I'll get into that. Like fine. But people in general don't want to go to really big, tall glass towers or class A office parks and drive up 30 minutes, an hour away and work in a cubicle. They want to go someplace cool. They want to go someplace where they can meet people. That can be us. That could be switch yards. That can be Rome. That can be, and there's enough room, man. There really is. So that's just my kind of generic answer. Like, what makes us different? I don't know. The people that work here, like our style, our brand, like there's just a uniqueness to who we are. Just like there are things that make you unique, or you, Jamie, or Giovanni. Like, hey, like Giovanni, what makes you different from the guy off the block? Well, you both have eyes, and you have a nose, and you have a mouth. Yeah, like the framework is kind of all the same, but like, man, there's a spirit to you, Gio, right? I know what makes you different because I've been a part of interactions with you, So
Yeah.
to some extent, that's my answer, man. Just come check us out, get to know us, get to know the community. You'll feel it. And you might like it or you might like the other guys more. And that's cool, man. That's the way the world works. I love that. If I want to give a more traditional answer, we focus on suburban markets, number one, right? Not only suburban, but suburban walkable. So in these cool little places where you can walk a couple feet away and stumble into a restaurant or a bar or a cool boutique shop or whatever, you can leave the office at 4 o'clock on a Friday and the street's buzzing and you walk by a buddy of yours that's got a drink in his hand that's headed down to meet up with a friend, right? Like people want to be there, man. Like that's what people want to work and live both. So that's why we focus on that. We're much more entrepreneurial, kind of scrappy kind of vibe. We're not like the high polished sort of like feel and look, like I wear like some t-shirts and sometimes sweatpants to company, like just casual, very relatable kind of thing. We're not trying to be anything, not an aspirational brand, like a relatable brand kind of a thing. But how we
Yeah.
do aspire to be great. We do try hard, unique in our design. I think there's something kind of fun about like just coming into our spaces. But like Switchyards does a great job with that too. Their design is just, I mean, it's like they pull all the coolest things out of like random like garage sales and they put it all together in a space and you're like, wow, that's sick. So love those guys. They're so fun too. But everyone has a different focus. Rome traditionally focused on meeting rooms. They're pivoting a little bit. Switch Yards is sort of like, focused on sort of the small neighborhood clubs, basically co-working only with maybe a meeting room thrown in there, right? We kind of have a focus on co-working in office, meeting kind of a little bit of all that, right? So the nuts and bolts are a little bit different, a little bit of a varied focus, but they complement each other. I've had wild ideas of saying, man, we should, be like Thrive and Switch Yards and Rome and Co-Hatch. We can all team up to make some kind of cool mega brand because I love all these guys and I know most, if not all of them, right? And so I root for them too. I'd rather it be them than like, some of the bigger guys. Not that I don't care about those folks and they're doing great things on their own, but I just think there's something uniquely special about the organic, locally grown kind of co-working product, that I want to make sure has a place in the world and has a place in the market. So yeah, that's us, man. Hopefully that answered your question to some
Yeah.
extent.
Perfect. So if you could go back and talk to 10-year-old Ramoncito, what would you tell
Dude,
him?
you said that right. Like my parents have said that and my grandparents. What would I tell him?
Yeah.
Probably it's going to get better. Things were challenging when I was younger. This is a co-working podcast. This is not a therapy session, but there were some difficulties back then. And I think like I would I wanted to be everything when I was a kid. I'm like, I'm gonna be an astronaut and a physicist and an archaeologist and a weatherman and the president. And like I thought I was gonna do everything, man. Like the ambition was just absurd. But I would probably tell myself also that like you'll be proud, man. Like you'll be proud of the effort that you put forth because I do give life everything I got, not just from a work perspective, but like my family, my kids, the select few folks that are like I can really kind of call friends, the team, my faith, of course. I try, and I try to do the right thing, like without exception. And I've come to learn that yeah, once upon a time when I was 10, I wanted to be all those things, and it was can I get myself on a pedestal? And I think I have a clear picture of what reality was like and what reality is like. So those are some of the things that come to mind, man.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see you at GWA. I mean, rather than networking, interacting with everyone, you found yourself in a corner having deep philosophical faith, live
Yes.
conversation with one person, right? And so, that says a lot about someone, right? And I'll tell you, as much as I like those conferences and getting together with people, I mean, Jamie knows me well enough. I don't do superficial very well, right? And
Right.
so it's hard to do those things because you feel like you have to be on, right? Because
Yeah.
you do want to express interest in people and their conversations and everything else. And a lot of people don't know how to go deep, right? A lot of people
Yeah.
don't even know what it's like to have intentional deep conversation, and not because they don't want to, they've just never experienced it, right? And so
Yes.
kudos to you for that. It did not go unseen for you doing that multiple times.
Cool. Thanks, man. And I agree with you, brother. That's kind of what we're on a mission to do, dude, is facilitate deep, meaningful relationships in our spaces. And it's happening. And I feel blessed to be a part of it, honestly.
For sure. Jamie always gets the last question. So Jamie, what do you got?
Okay. You get burgers and then you go to karaoke. What's your karaoke song?
Oh my God, you ask these questions.
Keeping you
Ooh,
on your
what's
toes
my
today, Ramon.
man? When I was younger, we used to go to this is such a generic, like such a standard answer, but it's a classic one. When I lived in Pensacola, there was a piano bar. They played Piano Man. We'd sing that damn song like
Ooh,
every weekend. And it literally was like out of a movie, people toasting and singing at
yeah,
the top of their lungs. And so it's got to be that.
that's the one. I don't think we've
There's
gotten that
just
answer yet, by the
Yeah,
way.
we haven't.
So it's
really,
yours. It's totally
oh,
yours.
cool.
Yep.
Let's
All
go. I
yours.
mean, that thing is classic. Oh, it's a beautiful song. So yeah, that's it. That's
That's
Love
me.
it.
awesome. Well, brother, really appreciate it. Ramoncito, go continue to be salt and light everywhere you go. It's
I'll
awesome to
try.
watch. So continued
Thank you,
success.
sir.
Thanks for everything.
Thanks for having me on here, guys. It was like really a ton of fun. Appreciate you both.